Since its launch, No Man's Sky and the developer behind the game have been under almost constant fire from the gaming community. Most of that fire is centered around the fact that people believe the title did not live up to its promise. Hello Games and Sean Murray will actually undergo investigation for false advertising because there are enough people out there that are frustrated that the game didn't live up to what the company billed it as. At least part of the reason people are annoyed at what No Man's Sky has become is because it was priced at a full $60. Up until very recently, the decision to arrive at that price point was blamed on Sony. But Jeff Keighley talked about the issue on the latest episode of his Live with YouTube gaming show. On that show, he talked about how he had quite a bit of communication with Hello Games and Sean Murray. Keighley said he told Murray months before it was released that they shouldn't make it a full-price game. Keighley says he told Hello Games that they should release No Man's Sky on early access at a much lower price. In the video, the man long associated with video games says he thinks this approach would have shown people what the game really is and clamped down on unrealistic expectations. Unfortunately for Hello Games, they decided to go ahead with their own ideas for No Man's Sky, and now it seems they're paying the price. Over the last few years, AAA game development has gotten more and more out of control. Games now take hundreds of millions of dollars to be made, with teams of hundreds working on them, months spent on bug testing, to no avail because the games are still shipped broken, often with extensive day one patches, and only franchise games being made due to the high risk involved in AAA game development. It's a total mess and something needs to be done before the bottom falls out of the games industry. This isn't just something we're saying. The director of Uncharted, Amy Hennig, shares this sentiment as well. Suggesting that something has gotta give when it comes to AAA game development, Hennig described her own time at Naughty Dog and the stress that went with it in an interview with Idle Thumb's Designer Notes podcast via gamesindustry.biz. It was really hard. The whole time I was at Naughty Dog, 10.5 years, I probably, on average, I don't know if I ever worked less than 80 hours a week. There were exceptions where it was like, okay, let's take a couple of days off, but I pretty much worked 7 days a week, at least 12 hours a day. Hennig also said that the lifestyle that goes with AAA games development is not worth it. She discussed how AAA game development works at large, noting that the cycle has become untenable and something needs to give. When you go to pitch a game like this, it's like, well, it better have this many hours, and you better have this mode, and you better do this. Or we could go, you know what, we're gonna make the best 6-hour game you've ever seen, and that's all it is. And could you please make that $40? We're definitely at the point where something's gotta give. If my hope was that different means of distribution, the fact that everything wasn't bricks and mortar and in a box, it would be that. And I think in some quarters that's true, but I think for AAA development we're still stuck in that rut, and the ante keeps getting upped. I mean, Uncharted 1, a 10-hour game, no other modes, you can't make a game like that anymore. She's definitely right about that, about all of that. AAA game development is brutal on the developers and has led to most of the games industry being stuck in a stagnant rut. With the mid-tier of game development having died out last generation, high-end console gaming is in serious danger of becoming too unsustainable for most companies to bother. And if you think that's alarmist thinking, you only need to look at the rise of mobile gaming and just how many companies are content with focusing on that over AAA games. Microsoft has gotten playful with this messaging for the Xbox One lately, letting no chance to point out advantages that their system has over the competing PS4 pass by. Of course, some would say that this is only fair, especially given how aggressive Sony were with their advertising against Microsoft earlier this generation. Others, meanwhile, think it's hypocritical of Microsoft to speak out against the console wars narrative on one hand, but perpetrate it with their messaging and advertising on the other. In an interview with GameSpot, Xbox head Phil Spencer defended his company's recent messaging, denying that it was part of any console war. I think us stating a feature that we have in our box that we think is an important selling feature of our box is completely within fair game. It's a feature of our box, and for somebody to look and say that talking about the features that you decide, I mean, we made a bet on the 4K Blu-ray disc and they didn't. And I'm not saying they made the wrong decision and we made the right decision, but if somebody wants a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, we have a console that has one. Then we're going to make sure that people know that. And if people say that that's console wars, I think they're wrong. I don't want anybody to ever try to put us in a box of, hey, you've got a feature, but because somebody else doesn't have it, you can't talk about it. And somehow that's unfair and console wars like, he continued. Because I don't believe that. I will always be respectful of my friends at the other platform holders, Nintendo, Sony. I have a lot of friends at Sony and Nintendo, and both those companies are doing their best to deliver their products based on their vision, and I respect that. We're doing the same. You won't see me badmouth what the other platforms are doing, but I am proud of the product decisions that we make, and I think we should be able to talk about it. It does make complete sense. Microsoft should be allowed to discuss what their advantages over their competition are. That's not perpetuating a war, that's simple marketing 101 across any and all industries.
We hope you've enjoyed this video, so please consider subscribing to our channel. We do original content, reviews, graphics comparison, and much more, and try to upload a video every day. Thank you very much for checking us out.